I want to ask this in a broad sense. We talk about digital visibility and the numbers or the metrics that you can now see more regularly. And I'm wondering how that's evolved to a point here. What were the milestones where finally you had some real data, close to real-time data, whatever it might have been, as the rollout happened, as your people became better informed how to use it and display the important numbers that matter. Share with us some of the milestones.
Yeah, our CEO came to me. It was about 3 or 4 months after we had kind of gone live on NetSuite, and he was starting to really be able to get into, the financial reporting out of NetSuite, and he had remarked to me how great it was to be able to see all the different revenue in one spot. Very much a sales-focused organization. He loved to be able to see the big number, the revenue across. And that was where it kind of clicked for me to say, okay, this is starting to take hold. People are really starting to see the capabilities of this tool across all the businesses. And a lot of times it was just cobbling together spreadsheets to get that number, and maybe it wasn't always the right number either. But this was really the eye opener for me.
Help us understand what are the metrics that matter to you. What are you looking at? What helps you understand how the company's performing today?
Yeah. Our biggest thing that we've graduated to has been the use of, there really wasn't any statistics when I joined the company, meaning, what's our employee count? What are the number of transactions, maybe the number of sales orders or the number of vehicles, or, key metrics within the company, and then blending that with the financials to start to come up with, what is our revenue per sales employee? What is our profitability per delivery vehicle? And start to utilize that not just to evaluate, but also to craft the plan. So as we get into, or really just launched into our budgeting process here for next year, we're starting to think more, okay, how do I make the most out of the resources that we've got here? Are there certain scenarios that maybe I hire somebody when I meet this particular threshold of a metric in a new location, or maybe I go out and buy a new vehicle when maybe I'm predicting that sales are going to go up 30% in a particular one of our branches, and maybe in April of 2025 is the right time to pull the trigger on a new vehicle. That allows us to do a little bit more intentional planning instead of reactionary to say, oh, we don't have a vehicle laying around, we need to buy one. Well, maybe we can be more intentional about how we think about that planning out for the future. And once we've got some of that planning in place for the budget, we can go back and say, okay, well, how are we progressing against that? Maybe we're blowing our goal away, and maybe we need to pull the trigger and do a hire sooner than we had planned because we're really taking off in a particular market. So really utilizing a lot of those statistical matched with financial performance to drive that. We try not to be just a data-focused company. We try to be very human about how we approach it, but there's also the element of let's try to manage to a goal as well, and there's kind of that yin and yang to it.
And what we'd like to know are your priorities as a CFO for those coming 12 months. What would those be?
Yeah, I mentioned we are in a very high growth mode right now, and so financing the expansion here is significant for trying to find the right tools that we can use to evaluate. We've got a lot of different competing priorities for a limited amount of resources. So what's the best way that we can monitor our progress against those goals? How can we effectively use cash? NetSuite's given us a lot of those capabilities. We're also augmenting that a little bit with some modeling from the generative AI tools. So just earlier today, I was generating a cash flow, net present value cash flow model using Claude from an AI perspective. And so we're really trying to manage that cash, manage the growth, keep ourselves honest about what our capabilities are, and from a finance perspective, I feel really excited about what we can bring to the table.
Brian Hogeland, thank you for joining us on CFO Thought Leader.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack.